My sister forged a deed to take my $1, 2M inheritance, but Grandma's secret plan exposed a bigger scheme. What I found in a locked box changed our family forever. I'm Ethan, 34, the guy everyone in my family thought would just shrug and take it when they pushed too far. The quiet one, the one who fixes things without fuss, the one who'd rather eat glass than start a fight. But when my grandmother passed and left me her entire $1, 2 million estate, her sprawling Craftsman home, her savings, and a stock portfolio that made my head spin, something in me cracked open, like a fault line finally giving way. I wasn't just going to roll over this time. What happened next tore my family apart and showed me who they really were, and if you stick with me to the end, you'll see why I had to become someone they never expected. For years, I'd been the family's unofficial caretaker. When Grandma's health started fading 3 years ago, in the summer of 2022, I was the one driving her to chemo, sorting her meds, and sitting with her on the porch swing, listening to her stories about the old days. My sister, Lauren, 2 years younger and all charm and chaos, was too busy chasing her next big break, usually some half-baked influencer gig or a surefire startup that needed just one more loan. She'd breeze in for Easter brunch, post a selfie with Grandma for her 20,000 followers, and vanish before the dishes were cleared. Mom always covered for her, saying Lauren was finding her path, while I was expected to be the steady one, the one who never complained. When Grandma died in October 2024, her will was clear. Everything went to me. Not a cent to Lauren, not a mention of Mom. I wasn't shocked. I'd been there, day in and day out, while Lauren hadn't even called in months. But the look on Mom's face at the reading, lips pursed, eyes like knives, told me she thought I'd stolen something that belonged to all of us. That was the moment I knew trouble was brewing, a storm gathering in the distance, and I wasn't about to get caught in the rain without a plan. The house was the crown jewel, a 1920s Craftsman with cedar shingles and stained glass windows, nestled in a neighborhood that had skyrocketed in value. Every house around it had been snatched up by developers, but Grandma never sold, and now it was mine, valued at $850,000 alone. The savings and stocks pushed the total past $1 million. I didn't move in right away. I stayed in my modest apartment downtown, quietly setting up protections. I learned from Grandma to watch people's patterns, not just their words. She'd always said, people show you who they are when they think you're not looking. So I met with a lawyer, set up an irrevocable trust, and moved the house, savings, everything into it. I even switched the utilities to a shell company I created, paying extra to keep it off public records. It was like building a fortress around what Grandma entrusted to me because I knew my family too well. They'd come for it. For months, it was eerily quiet. Lauren sent a few texts, fishing for info. Hey, you ever gonna fix up that old place? Need help? But I kept it vague, playing the naive brother she thought I was. Mom dropped hints at Thanksgiving, saying it's a shame Grandma didn't think of Lauren. She always loved her best. I just nodded, letting them think I was soft, unprepared. But inside, I was a coiled spring, waiting for their move. The storm broke in February 2025. I was at the house, trimming the overgrown azaleas, when Mom's silver SUV rolled into the driveway. Lauren hopped out, all confidence and designer sunglasses, like she was auditioning for a reality show. Mom followed, clutching a manila envelope, her smile tight as a drum. Ethan, we need to talk, Lauren said, tossing her hair. Big news. My stomach twisted, but I kept my face neutral. Mom stepped forward, her voice syrupy. We saw a lawyer. Turns out, Grandma's will wasn't updated properly after Grandpa passed. There's a clause that splits the estate between you and Lauren. We fixed it. Lauren smirked, pulling a document from the envelope. The house is in my name now. Done deal. You've got until next Wednesday to clear out. I stared at them, my clippers still in hand, the air thick with the scent of cut grass and their betrayal. My heart didn't race. It didn't even skip. It was like I'd been waiting for this moment my whole life. You sure about that? I asked, my voice calm, almost too calm. Lauren laughed, sharp and dismissive. It's over, Ethan. You're not cut out for this. Let me handle the house. I'll flip it, and we'll all get a cut. Mom chimed in, her tone softer, like she was soothing a child. It's not personal, Ethan. It's just fair. Lauren's got plans, and you've got your little apartment. This way, everyone's happy. I didn't argue. I just smiled, a small, sharp thing that made Lauren's grin falter for half a second. Okay, I said. I'll handle it. 3 days later, they showed up again, this time with a moving van and 2 guys in coveralls. Lauren was practically strutting, sipping an iced latte, while Mom directed the movers like she was staging a photo shoot. But I was ready. I stood on the porch, arms crossed, next to a woman in a crisp blazer, her badge gleaming in the morning sun. She held a folder labeled with the trust's name, Willow Creek Holdings, a name they'd never heard. Lauren froze mid-step. "What's this?" she demanded. The woman, Miss Harper from the county recorder's office, didn't flinch. "I'm here regarding the East Ridge Craftsman estate," she said, her voice like steel wrapped in velvet. "The property is held in an irrevocable trust under Ethan Carter's management, established November 2024. Any attempt to transfer the title, like the one filed last week, is fraudulent and subject to criminal penalties." Lauren's latte slipped from her hand, splashing across the gravel. Mom's face went white. "Fraudulent?" she stammered. We thought the will was outdated. You thought wrong," I said, stepping forward. "The house, the money, everything, it's locked in a trust. You tried to forge a title transfer with a fake deed. Did you really think I wouldn't notice?" Miss Harper flipped open her folder. "The county's already flagged the filing. You're lucky we're starting with a warning. Next time, it's trespassing charges or worse." The movers glanced at each other, then back toward their van, clearly wanting no part of this. Lauren's mouth opened, then closed, her charm crumbling like a sandcastle at high tide. Mom tried one last time, her voice trembling. "Ethan, we're family. You can't do this." I looked at her, then at Lauren, their faces a mirror of greed and desperation. "Family doesn't steal from family," I said. "You did this." "Not me." They left without another word, the van's tires crunching gravel as they pulled away. I stood there, the house looming behind me like a silent guardian, its windows catching the light like I was watching the world. I thought that was the end. But 3 days later, a letter arrived, not from Lauren, but from Mom's new lawyer, demanding $200,000 for emotional distress and a stake in the estate. It was like a punch I saw coming but still felt in my bones. They weren't done. And neither was I. The letter from Mom's lawyer sat on my kitchen counter like a venomous snake, coiled and waiting to strike. It was March 2025, and I'd thought the showdown at Grandma's Craftsman house would be the end of it, Lauren and Mom slinking away after their fake deed was exposed. But here they were, doubling down, demanding $200,000 for emotional distress and a slice of the $1. $2 million estate Grandma left Maine. My chest tightened, not with fear but with a kind of raw, electric anger I hadn't felt since I was a kid, standing up to a bully who didn't expect me to swing back. I wasn't that kid anymore, but the memory of that fire still burned, and I wasn't about to let them take what was mine. Stick with me, because what I found next turned this family feud into something far darker than I ever imagined. I called Ms. Harper, the county recorder who'd backed me up at the house, and she referred me to a lawyer friend, Natalie Chin, who specialized in estate disputes. Natalie's office was a small, cluttered space downtown, walls lined with law books and a single cactus on her desk, prickly as her reputation. I handed her the letter, my hands steady despite the storm in my head. "They're not stopping," I said. "What's their play?" Natalie scanned the document, her eyes narrowing. "This is a shakedown," she said, tossing the letter down. "The distress claim is nonsense, smoke and mirrors to scare you into settling. But the estate challenge? That's where they're aiming. They're claiming Lauren was coerced into signing away her rights years ago, back when your grandparents redid their wills." "Coerced?" I laughed, bitter as black coffee. Lauren wasn't even around when Grandma updated the will in 2023. She was in Miami, posting yacht photos with some crypto bro. Natalie smirked, jotting notes. "Good. We'll use that. But here's the thing, Ethan, they've got someone backing them. This lawyer, Daniel Voss? He's expensive. Your mom's a retired school teacher, and Lauren's maxed out 3 credit cards. Someone's footing the bill." That hit like a brick to the chest. Someone else was in the game, someone with money and motive, pulling strings I couldn't yet see. I leaned back, the chair creaking under me, and thought of Grandma's words again. People show you who they are when they think you're not looking. I've been watching Lauren and Mom, but I'd missed the shadow behind them. I spent the next week digging. I wasn't a detective, just a guy with a laptop and a gut feeling that something was off, like a melody played on a slightly out-of-tune piano. I started with Lauren's social media, scrolling through her curated life, brunches, beach trips, cryptic posts about big moves. Then I noticed a pattern. Since January, she'd been tagging a guy named Ryan Kessler in her stories. Ryan, mid-40s, slick suits and a Rolex that screamed new money, was all over her grid, always at high-end spots, rooftop bars, steakhouses, a private box at a Lakers game. His bio said, real estate investor, but a quick search on X turned up whispers of shady deals, foreclosures, and a knack for sniffing out vulnerable properties. My stomach churned. The Craftsman house, with its $850,000 valuation and prime location, was exactly the kind of prize a guy like Ryan would chase. Was he the one bankrolling Mom and Lauren's lawyer? I dug deeper, pulling public records. Ryan's company, Kessler Properties, had bought 3 homes in Grandma's neighborhood over the past 2 years, flipping them for millions. The pieces were starting to fit, but I needed more. I drove to the house, the air heavy with the scent of blooming jasmine. It was a Sunday, and the street was quiet, kids riding bikes, a dog barking somewhere. I sat on the porch swing, the same one where Grandma used to tell me stories about her childhood, her voice soft as the creak of the wood. I closed my eyes, trying to ground myself, but my mind kept spinning. That's when I heard it, a car slowing down, engine idling too long. I cracked my eyes open and saw a black BMW parked across the street, tinted windows hiding whoever was inside. My pulse kicked up, not out of fear but instinct, like a deer catching the scent of a wolf. The car lingered for a minute, then peeled away. I called Natalie that night. Someone's watching the house, I said. Black BMW, no plates visible. I think it's connected. She didn't dismiss me. Get a camera system installed, she said. And don't go back alone. If this is Kessler, he's not playing small time. He's got a reputation for leaning on people hard. The next day, I hired a security company to wire the house with cameras, motion sensors, the works. It cost me $4,000, but it felt like armor. I also reached out to an old friend, Jake, who worked in IT and owed me a favor from college. I asked him to look into Ryan Kessler, off the books. Jake came through 2 days later, texting me a single line. Check your email. You're not gonna like this. The email contained a PDF, a scanned contract from 2024 between Kessler Properties and a shell company called Blue Horizon LLC. The deal was for a consulting fee of $50,000, signed by none other than Lauren Carter, my sister. The date? 2 weeks before Grandma's death. My vision blurred, not with tears, but with a rage so sharp it felt like a blade in my chest. Lauren hadn't just betrayed me after the will, she'd been planning this for months, maybe longer, cozying up to a shark like Kessler to sell out Grandma's legacy before her body was even cold. I sat in my apartment, the city lights flickering outside like a bad dream. I thought about confronting Lauren, but I knew she'd lie, spin some story about helping the family. Instead, I called Natalie and sent her the PDF. This changes everything, she said, her voice tight. If Lauren's tied to Kessler, this isn't just a family spat. It's a coordinated grab. We need to play this smart, Ethan. File a counterclaim for fraud and conspiracy. And watch your back. I hung up, my hands shaking not from fear but from clarity. I'd spent my life being the good son, the reliable brother, the one who fixed things. But now I was done playing nice. I opened my laptop and started drafting an email to Jake, asking for one more favor, dig into Blue Horizon LLC. I needed to know how deep this went, who else was involved. As I hit send, my phone buzzed with a text from Lauren. We need to talk, Ethan. I'm sorry. Let's fix this. I stared at the screen, her words glowing like a lure in dark water. Sorry? She wasn't sorry. She was scared. And that meant I was finally one step ahead. But that's not all. 2 nights later, I woke up to an alert from the security system, a motion sensor triggered at the house. The camera feed showed a figure in a hoodie, face hidden, spray painting something on the garage door. I zoomed in, my heart pounding like a drum in a thunderstorm, and saw the words, "Give it up." The spray-painted words, "Give it up," stared back at me from the garage door through the grainy camera feed, glowing under the security light like a taunt carved into my skin. It was 3 a.m. on a chilly March 2025 night, and my apartment felt too small, the walls pressing in as my mind raced. Who'd done this? Lauren? Ryan Kessler? Someone else entirely? The question gnawed at me, sharp as broken glass, but deep down, I knew this was no random act. Someone wanted me scared, and I wasn't about to give them the satisfaction. What happened next pushed me to a breaking point I didn't know I had, and if you stay with me, you'll see how a memory from my past became the key to fighting back. I called the police, but by the time they arrived at the Craftsman house, the vandal was long gone. The officer, a tired guy named Torres, took photos and filed a report, his pen scratching like a metronome. Probably kids, he said, But his eyes lingered on the house, its cedar shingles and stained glass windows screaming money. I didn't buy his theory. Kids don't target a house locked in a trust, not with that kind of message. I thanked him, watched his cruiser pull away, and stood alone on the porch, the air heavy with the scent of paint and betrayal. My phone buzzed, another text from Lauren. I heard about the house. You okay? Her concern felt like a mask, slipping just enough to show the lie beneath. I didn't respond. Instead, I called Natalie Chin, my lawyer, and sent her the camera footage. This is escalation, she said, her voice sharp over the phone. Kessler's type doesn't play subtle. File a restraining order against Lauren and your mom, and get a private investigator. We need proof of who's behind this. Her words were a lifeline, but they also lit a fuse. I wasn't just protecting Grandma's estate anymore. I was fighting for my own survival. That afternoon, I met with a PI named Carla Ruiz, a no-nonsense woman with a handshake like iron and a knack for finding what people hid. I gave her everything. The fake deed, the Blue Horizon LLC contract, Ryan Kessler's name, and the vandalism footage. This smells like a setup, Carla said, her eyes scanning the files. Kessler's got a history, intimidation, payoffs, even a hushed-up assault case. If he's working with your sister, they're playing dirty. I'll start with Blue Horizon and track the money. I nodded, my throat tight. The house wasn't just a house anymore. It was a battlefield, and I was learning the rules of war. But that night, alone in my apartment, the weight of it all hit me. I sat on my couch, the city's hum outside like a distant heartbeat, and my mind drifted to a memory I hadn't touched in years. I was 12, skinny and awkward, standing in Grandma's backyard during a summer storm in 2003. Lauren, 10, had swiped my favorite comic book, a beat-up Spider-Man I'd saved up for, and tossed it into the mud, laughing as the pages dissolved. I lunged at her, furious, but Grandma pulled me aside, her hands gentle but firm. Ethan, she said, her eyes like calm seas after a squall. Anger's a fire, but you choose what it burns. Don't let it consume you. Watch, wait, and build something stronger. I nodded, tears stinging, and spent the rest of the summer fixing up her garden shed, hammering nails until my hands blistered. That shed still stood behind the Craftsman, a quiet monument to patience and purpose. That memory wasn't just nostalgia, it was a mirror. Lauren hadn't changed. She just traded mud-soaked comics for million-dollar estates. But Grandma's words were my armor now, reminding me to stay sharp, to channel the fire instead of letting it rule me. I wasn't a kid anymore, and this wasn't a comic book. This was my life, and I'd build something stronger. The next day, Carla called with a lead. Blue Horizon LLC is a front, she said. Registered to a P.O. box in Nevada, but I traced payments to a bank account linked to Kessler Properties. And here's the kicker. Your mom's name is on a secondary account tied to the same shell company. She's not just complicit, she's in deep. My heart sank, heavy as a stone in a river. Mom, who'd bake me birthday cakes and cheered at my high school track meets, was betting against me with a man like Kessler. The betrayal cut deeper than Lauren's ever could, like a knife twisting in a wound I didn't know I had. I drove to the house, needing to feel its solidity, its truth. The vandalism was gone, cleaned up by a crew I'd hired, but the air still felt charged, like the moment before lightning strikes. I walked through the rooms, past the oak staircase and the fireplace where Grandma used to read to me, her voice weaving stories like threads in a tapestry. That's when I noticed it, a floorboard in the study, slightly raised, something I'd never seen in all my years here. My pulse quickened, not with fear, but with a strange, electric curiosity. I knelt, pried it up with a letter opener, and found a small metal box, rusted at the edges, locked with a tiny padlock. Inside were papers, yellowed, handwritten notes in Grandma's looping script. My hands shook as I read the first line. To Ethan, my true heir. It wasn't a letter. It was a codicil, dated July 2023, reaffirming her will and detailing why she'd chosen me. Lauren's heart seeks flash over substance, she wrote, and your mother enables her. I trust you, Ethan, to protect what matters. There was more, a list of assets, including a safe deposit box I hadn't known about, with instructions to open it when the time comes. My breath caught, the words blurring. Grandma hadn't just left me the estate. She'd left me a map, a way to fight back. Suddenly, my phone pinged, a new alert from the security system. I opened the app, my heart slamming against my ribs, and saw the live feed. A black BMW. the same one from before, idling at the curb. But this time, the driver's window was down, and I caught a glimpse of a face. Ryan Kessler, his eyes locked on the house like a predator sizing up prey. Then, unexpectedly, the passenger door opened, and Mom stepped out, her face pale but resolute, carrying a flashlight. They weren't just watching anymore. They were coming for me. I wanted to run, to scream, to call the police, but my feet felt glued to the floor, Grandma's codicil clutched in my hand like a talisman. What were they planning? And why now? The answer was out there, in the dark, and I was about to find out. The camera feed showed Mom stepping out of Ryan Kessler's black BMW, her flashlight beam slicing through the March 2025 night like a thief's blade. My heart pounded, a drumbeat of betrayal, as I clutched Grandma's codicil in the Craftsman house's study, the rusted metal box still open at my feet. Kessler's eyes, cold and predatory, locked on the house from the driver's seat, and I realized this wasn't just about money anymore. It was personal, a siege on everything I'd fought to protect. I wanted to bolt, to confront them, but Grandma's words echoed. Watch, wait, build something stronger. What I did next wasn't just about saving the estate. It was about exposing a truth so ugly it would change everything. Stay with me, because the real shock is still coming. I slipped the codicil into my jacket, locked the box, and replaced the floorboard, my hands steady despite the adrenaline screaming through me. The security app pinged again, motion at the back door. I switched to the feed and saw Mom creeping toward the garden shed, her flashlight darting like a nervous firefly. Kessler stayed in the car, engine idling, a shadow waiting to pounce. My mind raced. Why the shed? What were they after? I grabbed my phone and texted Carla Ruiz, the PI. Kessler and Mom at house now. Back shed. Help. Then I hit record on the security system, capturing every move. I crept downstairs, avoiding the creaky steps, and peered through the kitchen window. Mom was at the shed, fumbling with a crowbar, her face tight with desperation. The shed, my shed, the one I'd built as a kid, was padlocked, but she was determined, prying at the door like it held her salvation. My chest burned, not just with anger but with a sick kind of sadness. This was the woman who'd tucked me in, who'd cried when I won my first track medal. Now she was breaking into my past, literally. Suddenly, the shed door gave way, and Mom slipped inside. I held my breath, the night so quiet I could hear my own pulse. Then crash, something heavy fell, followed by a muffled curse. The flashlight beam jerked wildly, and Mom stumbled out, clutching a small wooden box, her face pale as moonlight. She glanced toward Kessler's car, nodded, and hurried back to the BMW. They peeled out, tires crunching gravel, leaving the shed door swinging like a broken promise. I didn't chase them. I ran to the shed, my phone's flashlight revealing chaos, shelves toppled, tools scattered, my old workbench splintered. The box Mom took wasn't mine, wasn't anything I'd seen as a kid. My gut twisted. Grandma had hidden something else, something they wanted badly enough to risk breaking in. I called Carla again, my voice low. They took a box from the shed. Mom and Kessler. I've got it on camera. Carla's voice was all business. Stay put. I'm 10 minutes out. Don't touch anything. I waited, pacing the backyard, the jasmine scent now sour in my nose. When Carla arrived, her SUV skidding to a stop, she brought a laptop and a thermos of coffee, like this was just another night on the job. We reviewed the footage, her eyes narrowing at Mom's frantic movements. That box, she said, pausing the video. It's not random. Kessler's after something specific, something your grandma knew about. We searched the shed, finding nothing but my old hammer and a few rusted nails. But under the workbench, taped to the underside, was a key, small and silver, with a tag, First National, for 72. My breath caught. The safe deposit box from Grandma's codicil. I showed Carla the codicil and her eyes lit up. This is our leverage, she said. Whatever's in that box, they want it. We get to it first. The next morning, I went to First National Bank, the key burning a hole in my pocket. Natalie Chin met me there, her blazer crisp despite the early hour. The bank manager, a wiry man named Mr. Patel, led us to the vault, his keys jangling like a warning. Box 472 was small, unassuming, but when I opened it, my world tilted. Inside was a deed, not for the Craftsman, but for a vacant lot 2 blocks away, valued at $300,000 in 2023. There was also a letter, Grandma's handwriting shaky but clear. Ethan, this lot is your future. Kessler tried to bully me into selling in 22. Don't let him win. I stared at Natalie, my throat tight. Kessler's been after this lot for years, I said. That's why he's using Lauren and Mom. Natalie nodded, already pulling out her phone. This deed's in your name, Ethan. He can't touch it. But that box your mom took? It's probably a decoy, something to throw us off. Carla called as we left the bank. I tracked the BMW, she said. Kessler's at a warehouse in the Arts District. Your mom's with him, and so's Lauren. They're opening the box now. My blood ran cold. Lauren? She'd been quiet, her texts all apologies, but she was still in the game. I told Carla to meet us there, my voice hard. We in this today. We pulled up to the warehouse, a crumbling brick building tagged with graffiti. Carla's SUV was already there, parked discreetly. She signaled us over, handing me binoculars. Through a grimy window, I saw Kessler, Lauren, and Mom huddled around a table, the wooden box open. Papers were spread out, maps, contracts, something that looked like a surveyor's report. Kessler was gesturing, his face red, while Lauren nodded, her expression unreadable. Mom looked small, defeated, like she'd realized too late what she'd signed up for. Carla whispered, "We've got enough for the police. The footage, the codicil, the deed, plus, I found a paper trail linking Kessler to forged documents for your house. But we need to catch them with that box." I nodded, my jaw tight. This wasn't just about the estate anymore. It was about justice. We called the police, and within minutes, 2 cruisers rolled up, silent but deadly. The officers, led by a sharp-eyed woman named Detective Lopez, moved in fast. I followed, my heart a war drum, as they burst through the warehouse door. Kessler shouted, Lauren screamed, and Mom froze, the box slipping from her hands. Papers scattered like leaves in a storm, and I saw it, a fake deed for the vacant lot, stamped with Grandma's forged signature. Detective Lopez cuffed Kessler, reading him his rights as he spat curses. Lauren tried to run, but an officer grabbed her, her sunglasses clattering to the floor. Mom just stood there, tears streaming, looking at me like I was a stranger. "Ethan," she whispered, "I didn't mean for this." I didn't answer. I couldn't. The pain was too raw, like a wound ripped open. As they were led away, I picked up the fake deed, my hands shaking. Grandma had seen this coming, had trusted me to stop it. But something told me this wasn't over. Kessler's glare as he was shoved into the cruiser wasn't defeat, it was a promise. And Lauren's last look at me wasn't remorse. It was defiance. The warehouse air was thick with dust and betrayal as Detective Lopez cuffed Ryan Kessler, his curses echoing like a cornered animal's growl. Lauren's sunglasses lay shattered on the concrete, her defiance burning through her tears as she was led away. Mom stood frozen, the fake deed for Grandma's vacant lot scattered at her feet. Her whispered, "Ethan, I didn't mean for this," cutting deeper than any knife. It was March 2025, and I'd thought catching them red-handed would end it. Kessler's scheme, Lauren's greed, Mom's complicity. But as Kessler's glare promised retribution and Lauren's eyes screamed unfinished business, I knew the real fight was just beginning. Stick with me to the end, because what I uncovered in that final moment changed not just my future, but who I'd always been. The police hauled them to the station, and I followed with Natalie Chin and Carla Ruiz, my heart a tangled knot of anger and grief. The warehouse evidence, forged deeds, surveyor reports, and a contract tying Kessler to Blue Horizon LLC was damning, but Natalie warned me, Kessler's got connections. He'll post bail by morning unless we lock this down. Carla nodded, her laptop open, already pulling more threads. I found another account, she said, her voice low. It's not just Kessler. Someone else is funneling money to Blue Horizon, someone local, with deep pockets. My mind flashed to the safe deposit box, Grandma's letter, and her words. Kessler tried to bully me in 22. Don't let him win. The vacant lot, worth $300,000, was the key, but why? I needed answers, and the bank was my next stop. At First National, I opened the safe deposit box again, this time with Natalie present. Inside, tucked beneath the deed, was a second letter, sealed, dated October 2024, the month Grandma died. My hand shook as I broke the seal, her familiar script like a voice from the grave. Ethan, if you're reading this, they've come for the lot. It's not just land, it's leverage. Check the county records for Parcel 17B. Trust no one but yourself. Parcel 17B. I called Carla, who dug into the records while we sat in Natalie's office, the city skyline a jagged silhouette against the dusk. Got it, Carla said over speakerphone. Parcel 17B is your lot, but it's zoned for commercial development. Kessler's been buying up the block for a condo project worth $20 million. Your lot's the last piece he needs. Without it, the deal collapses. My breath caught, a puzzle piece clicking into place. Grandma hadn't just left me a fortune, she'd left me a weapon. But there was more. Carla's voice tightened. The other investor? It's Councilman Greg Harper, your Ms. Harper's brother. He's been bankrolling Kessler to secure the zoning votes. My stomach dropped. Ms. Harper, the county recorder who'd helped me, was tied to this? I thought of her badge, her calm professionalism, and felt a chill, like stepping into a shadow I hadn't seen. Was she playing me too? Natalie didn't flinch. We confront her, she said. But first, we secure the lot. We filed an emergency injunction to freeze any zoning changes, citing Kessler's fraud. Then I drove to the county office, my pulse hammering like a storm in my veins. Miss Harper was there, her smile faltering when she saw my face. Ethan, she said, what's wrong? I didn't sugarcoat it. Your brother's working with Kessler. Did you know? Her eyes widened, but not with guilt, with shock. Greg, she stammered. He's been pushing development deals, but I didn't. I swear, Ethan, I didn't know. She pulled up records on her computer, her fingers flying, and showed me emails from Greg to Kessler, dated months before Grandma's death, promising clearance for the lot. My trust in her wavered, but her panic felt real, like a deer caught in headlights. That night, I went back to the Craftsman house, the air heavy with the scent of cedar and memory. I sat on the porch swing, the same one where Grandma taught me to watch and wait. The lot wasn't just land, it was her final stand, a way to protect the neighborhood she loved from vultures like Kessler. But the cost was my family. Mom's plea in the warehouse echoed, and Lauren's defiance gnawed at me. I wanted to hate them, but part of me still saw the kid who threw my comic in the mud, the mom who cheered at my races. The pain was a weight, like carrying a stone up a hill that never ended. The next day, Kessler made bail, just as Natalie predicted. But Carla's work paid off. The police raided Harper's office, finding proof he'd taken bribes to push the zoning. Miss Harper, cleared of involvement, resigned anyway, her career collateral damage. Lauren and Mom faced charges for fraud and conspiracy, their bail hearings set for April. I didn't visit them. I couldn't. Instead, I met with a community group, offering to donate the lot for a park in Grandma's name. It felt right, like planting a seed in scorched earth. But the final twist came a week later. Carla called, her voice urgent. Ethan, I found one last thing. Grandma's codicil? It wasn't just about the lot. She left a trust fund, $100,000, for Lauren, payable only if she cuts ties with Kessler and completes a financial literacy course. My jaw dropped. Grandma hadn't abandoned Lauren. She'd given her a way out, a chance to change. I laughed, a bitter, aching sound, because it was so like Grandma, hope wrapped in tough love, a final lesson for us both. I stood in the Craftsman's backyard, the shed rebuilt, the lot safe, and felt the weight lift, just a little. Kessler's empire was crumbling, Harper was indicted, and Lauren had a choice to make. Mom's silence hurt most, but I'd survive it. Grandma's voice rang clear. Build something stronger. I had. And as the sun set, painting the sky like a bruise healing, I knew I wasn't the quiet one anymore.